My name is Bobby White. I am from the Coeur tribe. My mother is Philomena Nomi of the Coeur tribe. My father is the late Robert Two Teeth from Chippewa Cree in Rocky Boy, Montana. My art is dancing, the things that we make at home, our beadwork, and things that we do together as a family. I love to dance. I didn't start dancing until 2005. It's something that I'm passionate about and I really enjoy it. It really makes me happy and it gives me a connection of identity of who I am. I don't know how to explain the feeling. It gives me a connection to my father who passed away. I dance for my dad. I dance for my mother. I dance for my children. I feel a sense of pride and passion and I enjoy it. It's something like, you know how people like basketball and they're real passionate about something or are passionate about sports? I just love the feeling to be out there dancing and in my regalia because it just makes me proud to be me and to be a Coeur tribal member. You like the style that I dance, then I'm honored by that. And I hope to honor people and represent myself and my family and my tribe when I'm dancing out there. The dress was originally for my wedding. My mom made it. I asked her to make me a dress and she did it in 3 months. My mom's pretty amazing. It's a lot of work. I wanted a dress that represented me as an individual. The flowers on the dress are a representation of my dad. The florals is to represent the Chippewa Cree tribe and where my dad came from, so I can honor my dad. Then on the back of the dress, there's a horse on the back, and that represents Coeur tribe. We're horse people, and so I wanted it to represent both sides of my family, my maternal and my paternal side. I think of dancing as praying sometimes, and I hope that people see that.
Hisquis qua Jeffrey Salto, Chin Stitsum, Chin Talal Quatu, Hinune Huesquis qua Francis Nomi, and Pipe Huesquis qua Frank Salto, Tisi Hinchaya Huesquis qua Tilly Falcon, Tisi Sila Huesquis qua Henry Nomi, Tisi Kena Huesquis qua Robin George. So my name is Jeffrey Salto, I'm a member of the Coeur tribe, and I live in Plummer, Idaho. My mother's name is Francis Nomi, my father's name is Frank Salto. My late grandparents on my mother's side is Bill and Tilly Nomi. Late grandmother on dad's side is Robin George. I've been dancing since I could walk, but I didn't start singing and drumming until I was about 13. That was around the time that my grandfather passed away. I took it upon myself to carry on what he had been doing. And that's kind of a traditional thing, is that you carry on what your family does. My family's known for being singers, dancers, and drummers, and doing it the way that he did it. Our traditions slowly been fading away within the last 30 to 40 years. I see less and less people doing a lot of the things that we used to do traditionally, even just gathering as a people. But slowly, a lot of the things have been coming back into play. In Indian country today, is people want to be recognized as the most successful drum group. they want to go to the powwows and make big money. It's a two-sided coin for me. It's like, at least they're doing something with it. At least they're carrying it on. At least they're singing and they're passing that on. But at the same time, it's not being done in the same way that it's always been. But then I also see it as, this is how it's surviving. This is how it's making its way into this modern culture. I was like, and now I start hearing drums and singing in hip hop. And you know, that's never been done before. And within the last 10 years, I've been hearing it more and more. And it's reaching out to kids that probably would never hear it before. There's got to be a lot of give and take. And as Coeur d'Alene people, we've been able to overcome and adapt to a lot just within the last 100 years. We were a few hundred strong not that long ago, and now we're thousands. I'm proud that we've been resilient, been able to provide for ourselves, for our community, but I think in that we've kind of lost a little bit of our traditions, but they're slowly coming back. I've seen two different generations come into play. I've seen the kids from the early 2000s, they really cling on to a lot of modern society. They really wanted to attach themselves to what they've seen in media everywhere. You know, that's what they knew, that's what they had available to them. But now I'm starting to see more of this new tradition coming in. They're fascinated by learning how to make things traditionally. They ask me to come down and teach singing and drumming. I think this new generation coming in is like, they feel it. They feel that sense of being connected to that. I'm excited for it. My main passion is learning as much as I can so that I can pass on what I know, or at least try. For me, what I was taught from my grandpa down to my uncles to me was that this is our act of prayer. Along with the dancing, when people hear me sing, when they hear me drumming, I want them to be at peace with whatever is going on with them. I want them to know that that's the prayer for them.
Ach, has was squeedstum, he's squeezqua, Jades Denskar Mokri, Chinstinshum, Chintal Atquetut. My name's Jades Denskar Mokri, and I am Coeur d'Alene, and I'm from Plummer, Idaho. The cooking that I do is pit baking. That is in the ground, otherwise known as using an earth oven. I usually cook moss, camas, and elk. My favorite part about pit baking is probably the end when you get to pull the food out. Usually we do it for kids, for like a kids camp. When they come up and they see the fresh food coming out, they're just so thankful and grateful for what we've been doing and the hard work we put into it. And everyone's always just so happy because we don't get to eat these foods a lot anymore. Not a lot of people know how to do it anymore. I'd say there's probably about a handful of people in my tribe that still know how to do this. It's definitely a learning curve, and I hope that more people get the opportunity to experience this. It's definitely a cleansing experience, you know, being by the fire, being able to tell stories with the elders that come and visit. This is to cleanse us and to give us good spirits and to make sure that we're not putting any bad energy into our food, into these sacred items that I've brought to you. And this is white sage, and I've brought some sweetgrass. And when we braid these grasses, we pray before we cut it. We use these in ceremony, in sweat. They're very to ward off bad spirits. They're very sacred and important to us. Lim lamskon suden ekonegos quankonskit. For these roots, for these beautiful families, for these people. Cooking in any way is kind of a form of art. In this way, it's just really fulfilling. When you are doing the pit bake, we usually stay by the fire almost 24/7. So we sleep by the fire, we wake up next to the fire, we treat it. You give your all into it. It takes a lot of work to dig the hole and to move the rocks and to keep the fire going. We use this basalt in our ceremonies, mostly in sweat, and we also use it during the traditional pit bakes. The holes in this carry a lot of moisture and water, so when you heat them up, well, they get really hot. Actually, they're lava rocks. They're found in this area, and we use them sweat in ceremony, and they get super duper hot, and we add water to them, and they make steam for us. When you're cooking food, we pray, we sing, we tell stories, and you just put your all into it. It's a really clarifying, clearing process. For these roots, for these beautiful families.
My name is Dave Matheson. I'm formerly CEO and developer of the Coeur Casino Resort here. A son to my mom and dad, and grandson to my grandfolks, father to my children, papa to my grandchildren. Get into the storytelling, you have to understand why, what is the art of it, and then how do you attach a spirit or a feeling to it that connects. Our cultural art is connected to us spiritually, mentally, physically, historically. I think no matter who we are, we look at our beadwork, we look at our paintings, the people who create the various arts, the song and the dance, and somewhere, somehow in our native hearts and minds, we are moved to look upon that and to understand it goes deeper into where we come from, what is our own personal song, and why we are here as a native person, and how do we live that and take care of it. But the storytelling, and really the historical storytelling too, they are all connected to that art and to who we are. And when it's powerful, there's something born in our minds of a deep revelation and a realization that we will continue to be here. We know who we are. We are not lost in the modern world. We have our own identity and our own language, maybe our own song. And from there, we can live on with a strength that we didn't have before. You say, oh yeah, it's a cool bedtime story and doesn't really make any sense, but yeah, good. But it's much more than that, way much more than that. How to be a man, how to be a woman, how to be a mom, how to be a dad, how to be a good child, and a hunter and a warrior, and why you take care of what you take care of. They're all contained in there in a way that connects. What makes a good storyteller is connecting the dots and look at the art and then tell why this picture has been depicted, why it has been painted, why the song was moved to our song makers and sung the way that they sing it. In that way we become stronger from storytelling, from art, from culture, and as a people. My own father, one of my earliest memories, he always had us pray before I went to bed at night, get on our knees at our little cots or place where we sleep, and he'd pray and we'd pray along with him, and we'd have to say some things. And when he started telling us, and my mom started telling us, well, you have to, if you would, pray for your dad. You can get a deer. We don't have any meat. It's a couple days before Thanksgiving and we really need some meat. They didn't say get a great big fat turkey and dressing and all the trimmings and candles and all that kind of thing. We just get some meat. We'd be really well off. But we started praying like that. Bless my dad. He can get a deer so we can have meat. to eat, and Thanksgiving coming up. And Thanksgiving morning came, we still didn't have any meat. And I woke up and he was kind of putting on his boots and putting on his army coat. And I got up and said, Dad, can I go with you? And no, you're too little, you make too much noise, stay here. I won't make any noise, you know how kids are. Please, Dad, please, Dad. And all right, get your warm coat and put on your boots.
Hest hinderdakin, he squeezed hua quiltza, chin telt quas jitsuamsh, chin shenin hua hen segutin, chelchis quaquael, chin limp old squeechelmin. And that is an introduction in the Coeur d'Alene language, introducing myself by my native name, my Indian name, which is Red Fringe. I'm from the Coeur d'Alene tribe. The Coeur d'Alene word for ourselves is jitsuamsh, and that translates to the discovered people, or those that were found here. I'm a traditional artist for the Coeur d'Alene tribe, and I do a lot of work in beadwork and basketry. My work has heavy influences from the past. I like to study older pieces when it comes to beadwork, especially in basketry. I study a lot of older pieces and bring those designs and meanings forward. And I do a lot of teaching now, so I'm really interested in traditional arts and revitalization and preservation. I draw heavily from those older pieces, but it brings it into the future more. It's just a continuous process to be able to keep these traditional arts alive and breathing and keep it part of our living and breathing culture. I think it's very possible to have traditional pieces, but expressed in that modern context. It's something about traditional arts, it's really resilient, and it manages to evolve and change with the times. With bead or basketry, for example, it's a time-perfected technique of twining that has been passed down from generation to generation. My ancestors figured out this technique years and years and generations ago, and it's still here with us today. And part of the beauty of that traditional art is its ability to adapt to the times. Just like the hat that I'm wearing today, it's the same thing that my ancestors wore, but it's created using modern materials. So we have that ancient technology and process that is being brought forward into modern times, so that we're still connected to our culture and our traditional arts, but it's something that's bringing us into the future too. Well, I like to use the term traditional arts. I don't like to say that we're just doing arts and crafts. When I think of arts and crafts, I think of glue and glitter and feathers and putting things on there. With traditional arts, there is a lot more culture and knowledge and tradition that is attached to a traditional art. So with basketry, it's something that's been done for countless generations, and it's used for a very specific purpose. And it has a lot of culture and tradition and our landscape attached to that. And so I want people to call those or refer to those as traditional arts to give them the value that I think they deserve. These are basket hats, and they're worn by the women of the Columbia Plateau. And the Columbia Plateau cultural area has about 52 to maybe 57 tribes, and we're bound by that Columbia River system and its tributaries. We're bound by similarities in our language, our lifestyles, our worldview. The basket hats is something that's seen a decline in the making of over these last few decades. It was something that I thought was really important because these are worn by women that gather the traditional foods, women leaders that wear these. So they're the collective knowledge keepers of a community. They keep the connection to the earth, and there's a certain way that they're constructed. They're made in that counterclockwise motion. We follow the rotation of the earth, which is counterclockwise. We follow the seasons of the Mother Earth and the foods that it brings for us every year. This represents the mountains, and then this is a geese formation. And so we always have 3-part designs on our hats. The 3 designs that go down represent your infancy, your adulthood, and being an elder. The 3 designs going up represent your body, your spirit, and your heart. And these are just one of our beautiful traditional arts that is starting to see a comeback because of some of the revitalization and the teaching that I do in our communities.